of mine in Newfoundland said the worst posting in Newfoundland is when you get to see a UFO. Is that true?
No. For the first little while, you got a lot of teasing and that, but then it died down. And, you know, I never heard any more about it until I came back over here, and then it started making the news again. But after about 6 months or so, everybody just forgot about it. But the first couple of months, they called me Mork for Mork and Nano on the radio, and the ident guys made up a UFO drawing and had it superimposed, and they had a guy with his the hatch was open and there was a hand sticking out saying we want Blackwood. So,
boy, I'd like to see that.
Well,
wow.
it was on our bulletin board in Clareville there for a little while, and then it disappeared.
Yeah, I got to ask the question that most people would ask. Yeah. I mean, people get on television and say, yeah, I saw UFOs, I got carried away.
Yeah.
Are UFOs bullshit?
No, I mean, what I saw wasn't of this world. And I said that even in my interview. But it was being seen 3 or 4 different times before I got to see it. And we put it down to somebody was drinking too much, or Newfoundland, they would say you had too much wacky-backy. This is what they called marijuana back then. And but anyway, it was 10 to 2 when I dropped my partner off in Shoal Harbor. Gary Loader, he was one of our auxiliary members, and I dropped him off. And then when I lived in I was married, living at home then, but when I got back to the office, parked the car, the phone rang, and I debated whether I should answer it or let the on-call guy take the call, and I decided, well, I'll let him sleep and I'll take the call, and it was one of the Lethbridge family, Chess Lethbridge from down Marine Drive there in Clareville, and he said, there's something up in the sky up here, and so I went down, and at that time, it wasn't as close as it was in the end, but I said, well, I got a rig back at the office called a ball scope. It would magnify 60 times the normal rate, and I had that set up, and then we were able to see it much clearer, but then it came down close, and it stayed around for about 45 minutes, and I put the red and blue lights on, and it started flashing red and blues as well on the sides, and also underneath was all illuminated. It just lit up all the water. It was right above the water. And so anyway, and then when it left, it just started to rise up. There's no sound off it, and then it started rising up in the sky, and then it took off like a shooting star, only going the opposite direction.
How many witnesses you have that night?
There was about a dozen of us. And myself, and there was 2 families of the same family, the Lethbridge family, but 2 separate families, and they were all standing there. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were there till around 4 to 3, I guess. Yeah, that was in October 1978 that happened. And then the year before last, the Canadian Mint did a coin, as you saw in there.
Yeah.
And we did the coin up, and and that got newsworthy again. So I did a little talk with POCM in St. John's, and I got to talk to Paddy Daly and some of the news staff. And
but you're not the only Mountie in Newfoundland that's seen UFOs either.
No, there was a bunch of them. Actually, there was another guy from Stellarton who I knew, Bobby McKinnon. Him and another member saw it over the Cornerbrook way, and there was a few other members as well. But I knew him because he was local boy, you know, from here. And I didn't find out about that till maybe 6, 7 months ago when somebody sent me that feed, the feed about it.
Oh yeah.
So that's the one I sent you. Well, I didn't know.
Sterling interview.
No, That, not the Jeff Sterling interview, the,
MUFON.
yeah, MUFON did an interview with me, but, that write-up, it was in the paper, and it listed all the different Mounties.
Oh,
I
the
sent it to
article,
you the
the
other day.
blog. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, this is what my member friend in Newfoundland was saying. It was the worst job in Newfoundland if you were one of the lucky few to have seen a UFO, because you'd be dogged for the rest of your career.
No, they never bothered me. I went on to work years after that, and when I was up when I got transferred from Claremore to Wesleyville, I don't even think the corporal up there even knew that I was involved in that. And but I did get a phone call up there from a Davis guy from the BBC. They wanted to do a reenactment, and they wanted to do a documentary and do a reenactment. And I said, well, you'll have to okay it with the CO of the division. And anyway, they turned him down, so he couldn't do it. And I couldn't do it on my. I mean, I could now if they wanted to do it, but
while you're in service now.
No, not while I was tied to them. That's my friend.
Go get it.
Are you my buddy? Are you?
There you go. There was about 10 here earlier, and now there's nobody.
It peters off, and then right now it's 4 to 11, and might get a bunch more at midnight.
If there are UFOs and they're coming for a visit, why do you think they're coming?
Just curious, I think. I've talked to various people from the United States Air Force. The interviews and stuff I did was crazy back then. I mean, the phone never stopped ringing off the wall. And you know, the funny part is I didn't want to do any interviews. In fact, I refused, and CBC wanted to do an interview with Ken Meeker, Howie Meeker's brother, and anyway, I said no, I wasn't interested. So they knew somebody in headquarters, and I was ordered to go on. So I did the interview with them, and then of course Jeff Sterling got in on it, and then our interview was more in depth. It was a good long interview.
I saw that one.
He used to play that all the time on late at night. And I never saw it. And a friend of mine was telling me, "You're on TV again last night, Jim." I said, "I was." Well, that's good. So I never saw the tape. And so one day I was at school and I emailed Jeff's office, and I told him who I was. Is there any chance I can get a copy of that tape? You know, and gosh, within 3 days, it was purelated to my house here.
Wow.
And I still got his calling card that he gave me to get a hold of him.
But I mean, it's not like, I mean, even your staff sergeant saw it that night from his bedroom window or something.
Yeah, but he wouldn't let on he saw it.
What was his name?
I'm not going to say. We kept him out of it.
Didn't want the paperwork?
No, it wasn't the paperwork. I did all the paperwork. He helped me. We stayed up all night, and we had to do it up in it was special top secret paper we had to use, and he went all over to make sure it was worded right and everything. And then what we did then was put it in the safe, and then it was had to put secret tape on the envelope. It was all kinds of rigmarole you had to do. And we had to ship it double registered to Ottawa, and then the Res Bureau investigators, they got a hold of a report from the National Research Council and NRC, and anyway, they didn't agree with what I saw. They said I saw the planet Jupiter. And it was Dr. McNamara. I don't mind saying his name because he was a fool back then. I still think he is now. And for making that statement, he didn't interview me. He didn't interview any of the other witnesses. He just went on his own summation of what he thought what we saw. And anyway, when I did my interview with Res Bureau, I told him, I said, well, how can the planet Jupiter that size come down and land on Earth? It would crush us.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't he realize how big Jupiter is, you know, compared to the Earth? It's like comparing a marble to a basketball, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, nobody took him serious. I certainly didn't.
Was anybody able to see it on radar that night?
No. Well, see, back then, we didn't have there was nobody had cameras or videos, and we had highway cars had cameras, but everything was black and white. We didn't have color back then. It was only ident had color. So if I photographed an accident scene, it was all in black and white. That's all we had. Of course, it wouldn't have picked that up anyway the way it was. What? What is it?
Are you guys hungry?
Yeah, waiting for you to feed them.
All right, okay.